everyone. Welcome and welcome back to Cafe Oleh. My name is Jay. Here at Cafe Oleh, we go over the everyday Hebrew you need here in Israel to thrive as well as survive. How to keep up with the news, how to read and pay your electricity and utility bills, keeping up with the news, striking up a conversation, complaining, flirting, dating, grocery shopping, all the everyday things we do in Israel and all the everyday things you do in your native countries in your native language, but here in Israel in modern Hebrew. As always, we want to hear from you what topics you'd like us to cover. You can always write to us at hebrew@nbn.org.il. If you are joining us live on Zoom, you can write in the chat any questions, comments, concerns, and requests you'd like us to do. You can also see all of our previous lessons on youtube.com. Just go to YouTube, type in Cafe Oleh. You'll see a playlist with all of our previous lessons. If you've signed up with us via Zoom and you can't join us live, you will always get a link to the recording via email, but all of our previous lessons are up on YouTube, so you can watch our previous lessons on demand. One last piece of unfortunate housekeeping is if you are in an area here in Israel and the siren does go off, this is a recorded session. We will be here. If I have to step out, if you have to step out, that counts. That is so much more important than keeping up with your Hebrew. Please seek appropriate shelter if you need to. We will be back here and the class is recorded, so you will always be able to catch up on what you missed, even if you have to step away. Last week, we went over our emotional spectrum. And it was a pretty powerful moment hearing from all of you, all your different feelings and emotions in the past 2 weeks, and being able to give you the language, the literal words in Hebrew to express that in the context, not just of what's going on and what's continuing to go on, but also all the different outreach and support there is for all of us. We don't have to have been from the South or from the North, or unfortunately to have lost loved ones to need support in this really difficult time. We've gone through support in English. We've also talked about how you can access support in Hebrew. There's all sorts of different resources also that Nefesh Ben Nefesh is putting together. So please be in touch with them and on their website for further opportunities, as well as how to volunteer. We talked a lot about that last week and where to look. The week before that, we went over basic words, important words in the news and directives of how to stay safe. Today, we're going to do something that's very Jewish, that's even more Israeli. And I'm going to preface it as saying not all of you might be ready for this, and that's really okay. This is something that's very unique. I think it's a very Jewish thing, but it's certainly a very Israeli thing. And this may be too much for some of you. But one of the ways we go through important moments in our life, both good and especially bad, sad, terrible, awful moments in Israel, is through music. Music is always been therapy. That's a universal thing for Jews. Even in sad times, we chant. On Tisha B'Av, when we're reading of the first temple's destruction, and the dirges, the kinot that we sing afterwards are sung. They're not read, they're sung. And certainly we've talked about here in Israel, whether it's Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, that is often commemorated by singing or listening to very poignant songs about loss and grief and past wars. That has definitely been of comfort to some people in the last 2 weeks. I know for myself, I'm a huge music lover. It took me a very long time to listen to music in the last 2 weeks. Gal Galatz, Israel's most popular music station, is only playing the music it otherwise plays on Yom HaZikaron, very sad, slow music, quiet music. And artists are being called to both comfort those who are bereaving, and we've seen this at funerals, we've seen this at other places of help consoling them through music, as well as trying to boost the morale of soldiers who've been called up to the front. There's now more than 400,000 reservists, in addition to standing soldiers called up for service. And in the last few days, we've seen footage from the major bases of major Israeli artists coming in, cheering them up by singing and keeping the morale high for whatever's coming next. What we're going to do today in the course, we have in Israeli culture, singing together, and we've talked about this before, Shira Betzibur, communal sing-alongs are a really important part of creating a connection between people. Those of you may know the more modern iteration of Kululam, right? Where everyone gets a different part of a song and they all sing together at once. And it's this amazing spiritual moment. Um, and as much as people are relying on the classic, quote unquote, classic songs we always hear on Memorial Day, some artists have come out with a new song. And today we're going to go over one of those by one of Israel's, probably one of top three most popular artists right now, Chanan Ben Ari. Chanan is very popular. He sings about all sorts of different things. He is popular across different spectrum of Israeli identities. He has performed at weddings in the past 2 weeks of people who were supposed to get married in the South and couldn't, and last minute rushed around and found a place, and he uh, not presided, but he sang at their weddings. He's gone to army bases and sung his classic songs as well as classic Israeli songs. He's sung with displaced families from the South on porches in the center of the country. And in the last week, he released a song that's quickly become very popular, trying to express what he's feeling and what the country is feeling at this time. It's obviously going to be a sad song, so what we're going to do is go over the lyrics together in Hebrew and translate it into English. I've translated already, but we're going to go through it together. And then only then afterwards, I'm going to play the song. It is a sad song, so it's not upbeat. I'm going to direct you when I play the song. Those of you who don't feel comfortable listening to music now, I totally get you. No judgment here. You can press mute. You can sign out. That is totally up to you. I want to give you that option ahead of time so you know it's coming. And obviously answer any questions you have about the situation. I do briefings for people around the world. I'm raising a lot of money for immediately needed donations, but also for Hebrew. This is your chance for that. So with that, just give me 1 second to make sure that the English. Nope. All right, just 1 second. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to share with you my screen. As always, you will get a copy of the spreadsheet, in this case, the lyrics, when you get a recording of the email of this lesson. So don't worry about that. So the name of the song, full screen. We're going to read it in Hebrew first, and then we're going to do the English. I already translated it, but I want us to read the Hebrew because it's beautiful Hebrew. It's poetic Hebrew because it's a song. Remember, the word in Hebrew, shir, song, is immediate related to the word shira, poem. So there's always an immediate connection between the two in Hebrew, be it classical or modern. The name of the song is Moledet. Moledet, and it'll come into the lyrics in a little bit. Moledet, we often translate as homeland. It's more than that. Moledet has the same root as the word for to give birth. Yom Huledet, birthday, to be birth, to give birth. It has to do with birthing. So we can think of it as motherland. The place where you were born is essentially what we call homeland in Hebrew, Moledet. So that's the name of the song. I just want you to hear the rhythm of it before we start translating it together, or at least going over the translation together. מקווה שאת עוד שומרת, רגעים שמחים למזכרת. פעם אנשים עוד כתבו לך כאן שירים על מחברת, זוכרת. היפהפייה הנרדמת, עד מתי תהיי מדממת? ברחובות כולם אין חלום ואין סולם, אין גם דלת או שלט. אז שר לך שיר ישן, שיר ישן, שיר ישן. נשאר לך נאמן, נאמן, לעולם, לעולם. הנביאים חזו לך אחרת, מישהו נרדם במשמרת. איפה החלום? אין אמת ואין שלום, אין גם צדק, רק צדק. אז שר לך שיר ישן, שיר ישן, שיר ישן. נשאר לך נאמן, נאמן, לעולם, לעולם. לעולם לא נשבר, בשלום ובצר, במתוק ובמר, רק איתך אני שר, רק איתך אני שר. את היחידה המיוחדת, לעולם תהי לי מולדת. גם על סף תהום, גם בתוך הגהנום, את גן עדן, גן עדן. Okay, let's go over the lyrics together. And again, if you have any questions while I'm teaching about this specific class, please write it in the Q&A. Anything that's not about this specific class, please write in the chat. But I'm only going to be looking at the Q&A, and I'll be reviewing the chat transcript after this class. Okay, let's go over the lyrics. Well, let me just move the menu bar out of the way. There we go, much better. Okay. מקווה שאת עוד שומרת, רגעים שמחים למזכרת. מקווה, that's מקווה. Sorry. I love my automatic Nikud generator, the dots and bars that indicate vowel sounds, but sometimes it is wrong. As in this case. מקווה שאת עוד שומרת רגעים שמחים למזכרת. So transliterations on the right, English on the left. I hope that you are still saving. מקווה, Chanan is a man, so it's מקווה, אני מקווה, but it's just assumed he's speaking about himself. I hope שאת, that you, עוד שומרת, that you are still saving, still preserving, what, or guarding, רגעים שמחים למזכרת. Right? Happy moments. Rega is a moment. Sameach, happy. So regaim, smechim, happy moments. La mazkeret. Mazkeret, we often hear the word as a souvenir. Right? If you have friends coming to visit here in Israel, they're often going to be looking for a mazkeret, a souvenir. But mazkeret can also be a memento, a reminder, even a memory. Okay? פעם אנשים עוד כתבו לך כאן שירים על מחברת זוכרת. פעם אנשים, פעם means time. It also means one time, but when we use it in poetry like this or in songs, פעם also means once upon a time or once, right? Once as meaning a unit of time. So once, פעם, אנשים, people, עוד כתבו לך כאן, would write to you or would still write to you, meaning lach. All these times it's saying מקווה שאת. We hope that you, or עוד כתבו לך, that would still write to you. It's referring to Moledet. Moledet is female, is feminine, excuse me, and Moledet, homeland. It's all referring to Moledet, the homeland. Okay, so עוד כתבו לך כאן, once people would still write to you, would write to you, שירים על מחברת, songs in a notebook. מחברת is a notebook. זוכרת, do you remember? Right? Once upon a time, we had the luxury to take some time and write down songs in a notebook. We had the luxury of dreaming and thinking and hoping in a way that we could just write down in a notebook instead of maybe not being able to write at all, or maybe scribbling something out on a piece of paper or a phone or whatever it is that allowed Chanan to write the song in a week. But knowing for him, just like for a lot of Israelis, music is a really important part of our identity and how we express ourselves, right? So he's talking, do you remember the time when people, including myself, used to write down songs about you in notebooks? Moledet, again, it's all about the Moledet, the homeland. Obviously about Israel, folks, if you didn't get that. Okay. Hayefefia hanildemet, Sleeping Beauty. This is how we say Sleeping Beauty in Hebrew. Yefefia comes from the word yafa, beautiful or pretty. Yefefia is someone, a female who embodies beauty, right? And nildam means asleep or falling asleep. So you put it together, Hayefefia hanildemet, Sleeping Beauty, is now calling Moledet a Sleeping Beauty. Ad matai tihi midamemet. Until when? Ad matai, or for how long, or until when? Tihi, will you be midamemet, bleeding? Okay, dam means blood. Lidamem means to bleed. So for how long will you be bleeding, or until when will you be bleeding? Okay. Barchavot kulam, everyone is in the streets. En chalon ve'en sulam. There is no window and there is no ladder. Make sure you can see that. En gam delet oshelet. En gam delet, there is no door. There's also no door. Oshelet, or sign. People are in the streets. There's no window. There's no ladder. We can think about this as referring to the people who have been displaced in the south, either running for their lives or for their own safety have been evacuated. Tens of thousands, both in the south and the north, have been evacuated. So he's probably referring to them in these three lines, right? There's no window and there's no ladder. There's no means of escape. There's no door for some people, or there's no sign. There's no direction of where to go next. Az sharlach, so I sing to you. Az means then or so. Sharlach, remember it's Chanan is a man singing shar. Lach, to you, the homeland. As sharlach, shir yashan, an old song, an old song, an old song. Nishar lach ne'eman, as in ani nishar lach ne'eman. I remain, nishar is stay. Lishael means to stay, but in this, think of it as remain, or I stay faithful to you. I stay true to you. Ne'eman means faithful, true in the sense of being loyal, is another way we can translate ne'eman. But nishar lach ne'eman, I remain faithful to you, or to you I remain faithful. Ne'eman, faithful, loyal. Leolam, forever, forever. Okay? Next verse. Hanvi'im chazulach acheret. Hanvi'im, the prophets. Prophets is in the Bible, in the Tanakh. Chazulach acheret. Chazu is from the same root as tachazit. Tachazit is a forecast. Chazon is a vision. Chazu has to come with prophesizing, what we can foresee, meaning in the future or in the past, in this case, in the future rather. Hanvi'im chazulach acheret. The prophets foresaw you differently. Lach, again, is referring to the homeland, to Moledet. If you want to translate that as Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, Medinat Israel, the state of Israel, whomever, you think of it, that's what it's referring to each time, the Moledet, when it's saying Lach in the feminine. Okay, so Hanvi'im chazulach acheret. The prophets foresaw you differently, right? They had visions of you different from what happened just now, or what had just happened before. And I know that from these next coming lines. Mishu nirdam bamishmeret. Mishu, someone, nirdam, fell asleep. Bamishmeret. Mishmeret is a shift. If you work in retail in Israel, you are assigned a mishmeret, a shift. But mishmeret is also, for example, a shift on an army base, right? Or we can think of it in the sort of larger sense of a job. So someone fell asleep on the job. Mishu nirdam bamishmeret. Efo hachalom, where is the dream? Ein emet ve'en shalom. There is no truth and there is no peace. Ein gam tzedek, and there's no justice. Rak tzedek. Tzedek is a fissure or a crack, or crack is the best word. It's not even a tear. It's a crack like in a rock, something that's otherwise steady and strong. And then there's a split, a very tiny split that gets bigger. That's tzedek. As opposed to tzedek, which it's parallel to in the previous one, ein gam tzedek. There is no justice. So these lines are all as much talking about what we've experienced in the last 2 weeks as it has been, frankly, in the last few years in terms of how we relate to each other, what the Moledet was supposed to be, what the Medina was supposed to be. These are all his words, but it's very much drawing on our immediate past as Israelis or as lovers of Israel to relate to what's happening here. Okay? Az שר לך שיר ישן, שיר ישן, שיר ישן. נשאר לך נאמן, נאמן, לעולם, לעולם. Repeats the chorus again. לעולם לא נשבר, בשלום ובצער, במתוק ובמר, רק איתך אני שר, רק איתך אני שר. So, לעולם לא נשבר, we will never break. בשלום ובצער, whether in peace or in sorrow. במתוק ובמר, whether in sweet or bitter times. רק איתך אני שר, just with you or only with you, Moledet, I sing. רק איתך אני שר, only with you do I sing. Okay? Only to you, think of it as only to you do I have words to sing, or the voice, or the energy to sing. As painful as this time is, he feels the need as a musician to express himself, not just as a musician, but as Israelis who often use music as therapy to find his voice. Ata yichida hamiuchedet. You are the sole special one. To him, but probably to a lot of us. Leolam tihi li moledet. Leolam, forever. Tihi li, you will be to me. Moledet. Forever you will be my homeland, my birthplace. Gam saf tehom, even on the edge of an abyss. Tehom is an abyss. Saf is the edge of. Saf hadelet is the threshold at a door. Shomrei Hasaf, you may have heard this term a lot recently and in general. Shomrei Hasaf are gatekeepers, the people who are entrusted with our security. So Gam al Saf Tehom, even on the edge of an abyss or a precipice. Gam betoch hagehinom, even in the midst of hell. At Gan Eden, Gan Eden. You are heaven, you are paradise. Remember, Gan Eden is as much referring to the Garden of Eden in the Bible. Gan Eden is how we also say heaven. Also, we can think of it as paradise, but Gan Eden often means heaven in poetic Hebrew as well as in modern Hebrew. So even in the midst of hell, you, Moledet, are heaven, are heaven. Okay. Again, this is just one musician's words that he's put together to describe what he's thinking and feeling in the last 2 weeks. The song came out 7 days ago. It's already very popular. It's I think it's at almost 700,000 hits on YouTube. And like again, even if music isn't the way you feel comfortable dealing with difficult times, I'm teaching you this both because we've taught classes in the past, but also it's important to connect. We don't just teach Hebrew here in a vacuum, folks. We teach Hebrew to get you ingrained in Israeli society. And in Israeli society, time and time again, secular, religious, left, right, up and down, use music as a communal therapy, as a way that we can all connect, either singing or listening to songs we've heard many times before, or reflecting on the lyrics to process what we're experiencing. So even if this isn't your means of therapy, and even if this is uncomfortable for you, here in Israel, 9.5 million people, this is how mainstream society often copes. For example, in another 2 hours on Channel 11, they're having a major fundraiser drive for families in the South. And it's going to include the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra and all of Israel's top artists singing for donations. They're obviously not going to be singing upbeat, up-tempo songs. They're going to be singing reflective songs like this. I don't know if Chanan Ben Ari is going to be singing, but I'm sure he will be. That's what we're talking about here. I see there's a lot of people writing in the chat. I hope you're having a great conversation. If you have questions for me to answer, please write in the Q&A. I'm not looking at the chat today, so just keep that in mind. What I am going to do is share with you the song. The song has the lyrics in uh, has Hebrew at the bottom. I'm a little afraid I'm not going to be able to share both screens at once. That you can both hear the song, see the clip, which is pretty, I think, profound. So what I'm going to do is share with you the clip. We're obviously going to share the URL, the link for it on YouTube with you. But you will also have the lyrics to go over as well. Okay, I'm just going to open this up now. Just want to move the thing out of the way. There we go. I hope. Oh, Zoom. I hope this doesn't interfere. I hope you can all see this. And if not, you will get the link for it. Okay, I'm going to play this now.
מקווה שאת עוד שומרת רגעים שמחים למזכרת פעם אנשים עוד כתבו לך כאן שירים על מחברת זוכרת היפהפייה נרדמת עד מתי תהי מדממת ברחובות כולם אין חלון ואין סולם אין גם דלת או שלט, אז שר לך שיר ישן, שיר ישן, שיר ישן, נשאר לך נאמן, נאמן, לעולם, לעולם. הנביאים חזו לך אחרת מישהו נרדם במשמרת איפה החלום אין אמת ואין שלום אין גם צדק רק צדק אז שר לך שיר ישן שיר ישן שיר ישן נשאר לך נאמן נאמן לעולם 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 לא נשבר בשלום ובצר במתוק ובמר רק איתך אני שר
No worries, Senator Biden. We have no place else to go.
רק איתך אני שר את היחידה מיוחדת לעולם תהי לי מולדת גם על סף תהום גם בתוך הגיהנום את גן עדן גן עדן
תשכח ימיני תדבק לשוני לחיקי אם לא אזכרכי אם לא עלה את ירושלים על ראש שמחתי
So as you saw, it's the clip from Chanan Ben Ari himself. He created that clip from a lot of what we've been seeing on social media and on the news, both of people volunteering, people reflecting, people helping out soldiers, soldiers helping out each other. The phenomenon we're seeing a lot of soldiers quickly getting married. That a lot of, since so many people were lost and we don't know what's next, so many weddings taking place on army bases as the call up continues, and we don't know what's next. And Chanan Ben Ari has performed at both civil marriages, as civilians, excuse me, as well as soldiers. It's one of the parts you're seeing there. So it's a really profound song, as it's referring immediately to what we're feeling now. And the clip, I think, only adds to its power. So that was pretty much the lesson for today. I don't think a lot of us have strength for much more than that. I certainly don't. And I hope next week we'll be able to get on with regular things like talking about how we organize our time and how we stay on top of things. But as we don't, and as you've seen, we reflected in the last few weeks and this week as well, we really want to make space both to keep routine, because routine is important in times like these, but also give you the space to reflect and think about what's happening. And we hope to offer you also additional opportunities to use your Hebrew in this time, including maybe smaller groups to converse, just like we talked last week about how do we express our feelings, to be able to do that in much smaller groups, because thank God we're 160 people on this call, but in a smaller group maybe to do that as well. So with that, I'm going to stop here and answer any questions you have in the Q&A. The name of the singer is Chanan Ben Ari. Please explain Ne'eman and Emunah. Great question. So, as you saw, where's that line? Sorry, just a second. Let me move this over so I can see. Okay. So I remain to you faithful or trustworthy or loyal. Ne'eman can also be loyal. I used faithful exactly because emunah means faith, right? So the idea is that these two are connected. Ne'eman, the root of both of these is aleph mem nun, as you see here. Right, let me highlight that. As we've talked about, every Hebrew word has a shoresh, a root of usually 3 letters. In this case, it's aleph mem nun. When put together in a specific way with helper letters and vowels, creates a word. In this case, ne'eman means faithful, loyal, trustworthy. And I use faithful because emunah means faith, and leha'amin means to believe. So that's the connection between the two. Also, with all the pictures of weddings that he includes in that clip. Remember, it's one of the things that we wish a newlywed couple, that they should build a bait ne'eman beYisrael, that they should build a faithful, trustworthy, loyal home in Israel, meaning both to them as well as to Am Yisrael, the people of Israel. The name of the song is Moledet. I'll share it with you again just so you can see it. Sorry, just 1 second, but you will get a clip. You will get the link to this clip as well as obviously the recording that we showed here. But the name of the song, share, escape. If it'll let me do it. Come on, YouTube. It's all the way hidden at the bottom. All right. It's here at the bottom. It's called Moledet. Okay. We'll send you the clip. Don't worry. Okay. Let me answer some more questions while we're here in the Q&A. Will the concert in a couple hours be broadcast on Zoom? It'll be, if you are here in Israel, it's streaming live on Kan. It's kan.org.il. Or if you have a TV, it's channel 11. Kan is Kaf Aleph Nun. I'll show you the website really quick. But it's on, they've been doing a fundraiser all day where they have a direct line where you can donate to families in the South, but it's supposed to be at 9:45, I think it begins, and I'll show you we've gone through this website before. Kan is Israel's public broadcaster. It's the equivalent of PBS here in Israel. So channel 11, so it's the nightly news, not that TV channels have been showing anything but news. So it's streaming live on the left. This is where all those, a lot of people's favorite shows like Kupa Reshit, a lot of great shows are, but at 9:45, it's supposed to begin. And you can watch it live here, either here on the left, or you see at the top right, it says live. You can just click on that here. But if you have a TV and you're in Israel, channel 11. That's all you need to know. Okay. Are there any other artists who have new songs? So there's another song That's become really popular in the last 2 weeks. It's been out for several months, but it's taken on new meaning, and it's called Latzet Medikaon, to get out of depression. And it's a little bit more upbeat. It's very powerful. I'll try to send you that song as well. But it's an equally powerful song that's gotten very popular lately. But Moledet by Chanan Ben Ari is really popular right now. Where can I find the written music notes? Great question. This song came out literally 7 days ago. So maybe Hanan has released it on his website. I don't know. Okay. Please play again. Please show all the lyrics again. We got a little bit more time. I'm happy to do that. As I see, we don't have any other. Is there an in-person ulpan for someone waiting for their aliyah to process, meaning no benefits yet? I don't know if you're referring to being in Israel or not. I can tell you that things are slowly reopening here in Israel. It depends on where you are in the country, and it depends on a lot of different factors. So, for example, here in Tel Aviv, schools are allowed to reopen provided that they meet certain requirements of how many people are allowed to meet inside and in proximity to a protected space, a milchav mugan, which we went through before. Those are a lot of factors. So there are places to learn Hebrew in Israel called ulpanim. Whether you've made aliyah or not, you can have access to them. It's a matter of if you have to pay for them or not. But it also depends, do they have a milchav mugan, and therefore are they allowed to be open at all? So you need to keep that in mind. That's why online learning is what we did. Corona began, and we continue it because it's so popular here. But that's a great question. Okay. I'm going to play the song again, and then unless anyone has any other questions that they put in the Q&A, as I see the chat is burning up with all sorts of things, but I will look at that tomorrow in the next few days. Play the song, and then we can break from there. Just 1 second. See if I can find it again. Here it is. Zoom. Sorry, need to share that again. Share screen, share sound, optimize for video clip.
מקווה שאת עוד שומרת רגעים שמחים למזכרת פעם אנשים עוד כתבו לך כאן שירים על מחברת זוכרת היפהפייה נרדמת עד מתי תהי מדממת ברחובות כולם אין חלון ואין סולם אין גם דלת או שלט אז שר לך שיר ישן שיר ישן שיר ישן נשאר לך נאמן נאמן לעולם לעולם הנביאים חזו לך אחרת מישהו נרדם במשמרת איפה החלום אין אמת ואין שלום אין גם צדק רק צדק אז שר לך שיר ישן שיר ישן שיר ישן נשאר לך נאמן נאמן לעולם 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 לא נשבר בשלום ובצר במתוק ובמר רק איתך אני שר
No worries, Senator Biden. We have no place else to go.
רק איתך אני שר זאת היחידה מיוחדת, לעולם תהי לי מולדת. גם על סף תהום, גם בתוך הגיהנום, את גן עדן, גן עדן.
תשכח ימיני, תדבק לשוני לחיקי, אם לא אזכרכי, אם לא אעלה את ירושלים, על ראש שמחתי.
Gets me even after the 10th time listening to that. Can you give us the name of the other song you mentioned? Yes, I will share it. I'll share you the screen just now. Just 1 second. I don't know if it's been translated yet into English, but it's been out for a couple weeks now. Actually, a couple months. La'tzet Medikaon. So it's this song, Yigalash Oshri, called La'tzet Medikaon. And this one's become really popular as well. It was not written, as you see, it was 2 months ago. So it was not written for what's happening, but it's become very popular as a result. But also, so have all the classic songs that we hear only on Yom HaZikaron have been played nonstop on TV as well. What does the title mean? Like I said, Moledet. Moledet, if you were to put it in a, as I explained at the beginning of class, Moledet, if you put it in a translation guide, it'll probably say Homeland. And it does mean homeland, but Moledet has the same roots, the same shoresh as the words for birth, as the words for birthday. So it has to do with, think of it more in a maternal way. Moledet, first off, is a feminine word. We don't refer to the land of Israel like other countries do in masculine terms, right? We don't think of the land of Israel as the fatherland. We think of it more as the motherland. So you can think of Moledet as motherland, but it also has to do with birth, the place that birthed us, the place that gives us life is a better way to think about it, as well as homeland. But that's what Moledet means. Okay. With that, we're going to break for this week. Thank you all for joining. Toda rabah. Encourage you to find whatever means you can to get through all of this, both the support we talked about in the last few weeks, but also this very classic Israeli way of dealing with sad times, which is singing through it, or at least listening to music through it. So whether you listen to the radio, watching the news, the various fundraising events that are taking place throughout on TV throughout this week. So Channel 11 is tonight. I think Channel 12, if it wasn't last night, will be tomorrow. All of them will have it. Major artists coming together and singing for support, but also to help raise donations, because a lot of the effort that's been done in the last 2 weeks is overwhelmingly 90% is done by people, by you and I as citizens, and by our friends from abroad. So with that, toda rabah for joining. Stay tuned to YouTube for an upload of this class, and our previous classes are already up there. If you have any requests for future classes, as always, we want to hear from you. Hebrew@nbn.org.il. Toda rabah. See you all next week. להתראות.